Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Sims 4 house building video. So today I am building a bowling alley slash, it's like a restaurant. So the whole idea of this at first was I was going to try and build like a Hard Rock Cafe. But I don't know, there's just not enough. I don't have all the packs installed in the game firstly, so I don't have every object in the game anyway. But there's just, so I can't say there's not enough objects, but in terms of the packs I've got, I haven't got enough objects to do like a Hard Rock themed cafe fully, like without duplicating loads of items on the walls. So instead, it's sort of Hard Rock themed, but it's sort of my theme of a Hard Rock Cafe. Obviously, there's no custom content, so there's no Hard Rock Cafe signs or anything like that. But I think it ends up looking quite cool. And the bowling alley was actually really fun to build. And I actually want to build a few more bowling alleys, maybe like a modern one. I think that would be kind of cool. But yeah, what kind of style are we going for here? So, we're actually building it's sort of like, almost like a New York City block, slash I don't know, just this weird building that's built on the right, but right now it looks like it's the New York, almost old school cinema. Quite a small cinema building, but it's not actually a cinema. This is where the bowling alley will be, but it sort of looks like a cinema. So I have a little story for you since the last video. The reason why there's been a little bit of a break in videos recently is because I had to delete everything on my computer and reinstall Windows. And basically I just finished building. It's on the gallery so you can download it, so it's not like I've lost all the work, but I've lost all the footage of it getting built. And it's basically like a train station complex, which is pretty cool. There's quite a lot going on, so I'd recommend checking that out on my gallery. You can find that in the link below. Well, it will be at some point. I really hate the Sims 4 gallery, really hate it. Yeah, it's just a pain to use. I don't recommend, and it's annoying because there's no alternative kind of gallery. It is just a Sims 4 gallery, which is annoying, but it is what it is. But yeah, as for the build, it ends up being quite a fun little build, really. I did enjoy it quite a lot. Actually, quite a lot. So use the debug menus quite a lot. Sort of what's the cheat called? Show live edit objects as well. So at some point you'll see a delivery truck come in to the building, and if you're wondering how you get fences at the edge of lots, because I do that as well in this build, they're just objects in the debug menu. I recommend using the debug menu even just for those objects, because being able to push right to the edge of the lot just makes the build a bit more realistic, I think. But yeah, ended up being quite a cool build. Also used the debug menu to build the sign at the front. So ends up being quite a big sign, if I'm honest. With the barriers, the railings, the racking, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So what's going on in the world of The Sims right now? To be honest, not a lot. In fact, I would say pretty much nothing of interest. Yeah, there's nothing much interesting going on in The Sims right now. I would like to know a bit more about Sims 5. Hopefully they'll release some stuff about that soon. But it's kind of like when they release a new Sims game, it's exciting, but it's also kind of annoying, because then you've got to wait again for a lot of the objects to come back, because they hold it back. Because obviously the whole point of The Sims is you get expansion packs and stuff packs, and I'm not saying that I want them to include everything in every expansion pack in the base game, because they won't do that. That's just not their business model. But what would be nice is if The Sims 5, when it is released, isn't as broken as The Sims 4 was. I guess as The Sims 4 still is to an extent. What I mean by broken is I don't mean broken as in the game was unplayable, because it was fine to play. But when I first played The Sims 4, when it came out, I got it on release. And when I first played that game, from a building point of view, it was so bad. It was powerful in terms of what they were trying to do, but it was just so bad. And that's why I stopped playing it for like 3 or 4 years, because I really liked The Sims 3, and The Sims 4 came along and they just ruined everything in the build mode, in my opinion. There's a couple of things that I'm sure you're aware of. Like, first of all, like the no pools, the no cars, which we still haven't got, no terrain tools. That was a big one for me, no terrain tools, because almost all my builds in The Sims 3, I used to like using terrain tools, because if you're not using terrain tools, then your build's not going to look that realistic. It's just not, because terrain tools are so important. Especially, the other thing I didn't like about Sims 4 when it first came out, which I still don't like, is that it's not open world. I understand why it's not, because obviously previous The Sims 3 was quite a heavy game when it comes to like specs wise on your computer. Good that The Sims 4 doesn't need, like, it's more feasible to play to other people, but for me, I just didn't. I felt that was a step back. In fact, The Sims 4 for me was a step back at first. Going ahead and fast forwarding, or if we fast forward 5 years later to now, The Sims 4 is a much better game. And in terms of building, I enjoy building more in The Sims 4 than I do in The Sims 3. I love the platform tools. I like the way that you can move entire rooms, move the whole building. I like the aesthetic of the game a lot more. I think the cartoony aspect, it works really well for this game. And just like little things that you don't really realise at first, but stuff like trimmings, like wall trims, that's not in The Sims 3. The fact that you can change the shape of staircases, that's not in The Sims 3. And it's just little things like that which just add to the whole experience and make it so much better. The more variety of half walls, the fact that you can even change the shape of general walls. Not that I use the tall walls that much. In fact, I say that, but I do now. And the reason I use the taller walls now is because there's more of a reason to do it. So where you've got like platforms in the ground, you want the tall walls to kind of, without the tall walls, you can use either foundation or you can use the tall walls and then build more platforms. There's pros and cons to doing each. But the reason why I use platforms in the ground floor instead of foundation now is because I can do much better looking staircases at the front of properties, and you can do more shapes to those staircases, so you can do them on a diagonal. If you want your Sims to use them, then you have to. They can't all. The entire staircase can't be. I say staircase. The platforms can't all be on a diagonal because Sims can't climb diagonal platforms. But in terms of everything else, it works quite well. But yeah, so as you say, we've been furnishing the restaurant for quite some time. It's almost like this restaurant almost has like two sections in a way. So you've got like inside the tower, I call it a rotunda. It's an octagonal area, but in real life they're normally circular. But you know The Sims, so you can kind of build circle walls, but you just wouldn't be able to utilize the space very well. If you've got the mod tool, you can use windows to build circular walls, but I don't use the mod tool because I like to build lots that you can actually play in, and I find if you start messing around with the mod tool, not for everything, but for quite a lot of builds, it can kind of overwhelm the game a bit, and you kind of makes it harder to make kind of lots playable. But yeah, just adding loads of decorations. Quite a big restaurant. Well, big for The Sims, because in The Sims you really don't need that many tables in your restaurants, because you're never going to fill up like 100 table restaurant. I think this restaurant has maybe like 20, 25, 30 tables, which is plenty for The Sims. But yeah, just adding some more decorative objects, just making the whole build look that little bit nicer. But so the whole story of this lot, actually, might as well talk about that, is so originally it was just a cinema on the lot, and then next door to it was like this warehouse building. They kept the cinema building because the local council was like, we like the look of that building, we don't want you to knock it down, so you have to keep that building. But the warehouse you can knock down, so that was knocked down. But okay, so this is the story. So there's two brothers, the Kenningtons. They buy the plot of land, so they buy the cinema, the old warehouse, knock the warehouse down, keep the cinema, and then what they do is they build the restaurant onto the side of the cinema. And at first, they wanted it to be a restaurant and bowling complex. So you've got the nice fancy restaurant upstairs, and then you've got the bowling area downstairs. Great. But then there's a problem. A few years down the line, one of the brothers decides that they don't actually like the colour red. And as a result, they split up. Not split up in terms of you can't split up if you're a brother, but they have a disagreement. And, well, so they have this disagreement. And then they go their separate ways. So the bowling alley ends up all turning into a blue colour scheme, and the restaurant stays red. So you have a red restaurant and a blue bowling alley. I thought that was quite an interesting idea. The sort of main reason I've done that is because if I made the theme of the bowling alley red as well, in real life it wouldn't matter, but in The Sims when you're playing the game, it's nice to, it just helps you distinguish the two areas. So you know, right, there's blue furniture everywhere, I'm in the bowling alley. There's red furniture everywhere, I'm in the restaurant. A couple of extra things that I put in these lots as well. Obviously, you'll notice there's quite there's like warehouses, stock rooms in the back, and there's also like staff areas in this lot. You don't need them in the game, but I just like that extra bit of realism. But also, if you're using it for like the restaurant career, it's nice to have like an office, just so you got somewhere to, for your sim to get on with his business, be on the restaurant. So I think it's really important that they're added in. It just makes it more playable, I think. But that's just me. I mean, you can download this lot, demolish it, which would be kind of pointless, but I'd be interested to see what you could, maybe if you wanted to download the lot, if you do anything, make the restaurant a completely different thing, like you could turn this into an Italian restaurant, you could turn it into a bakery restaurant, you could turn it into a jungle themed restaurant. I don't really know, but I'm sure you could make it look cool. A jungle themed restaurant would actually be pretty cool, like the Rainforest Café. Yeah, that would be cool. But that's a build for another day, because I'm not doing a Rainforest Cafe right now. Might do a Rainforest bowling alley though. That could be cool. That could be real cool. A Rainforest bowling. We'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. But yeah, just building more of the lot. It's interesting, this lot actually, because there's very little windows on the lot. When you think about it, like how big the building is, there's not many windows. In fact, there's near enough no windows on the back side of the lot, and it's extremely hard to pull that off in The Sims to make it look good. Like, to have a building with like no windows is really difficult. Now, this doesn't have 0 windows. The front of the lot has quite a lot of windows, but the back of the building, almost no windows. But it still looks alright, to be fair. You might disagree. You might think, what are you doing? You need windows in your builds, but sometimes you just don't need windows. So where are we now in the build? Oh, and just doing some bits and bobs here and there. Well, we were talking about the Sims earlier, in terms of what I wanted from The Sims 5. And I actually had some notes, because I wrote down some stuff that I wanted to see. That I wanted to go through, actually. That is my notebook that you can hear in the background. I'm just conscientious of time, because this video is 16 minutes long. And what I don't want to do is talk over 16 minutes, because that just won't work. I think I've got about 2 minutes left from what I can see. So we'll do that. Well, I can't find the notes that I made, so we won't talk about that. Basically, I remember what I wrote down to an extent. It was basically I was going to go through what's my favourite Sims 4 packs so far, and what packs do you need when you're building in The Sims 4. And I'd say the most important one is, if I can only have one pack, probably be Get Together. And it's going to sound stupid, but the main reason for it is there's this one column that comes in Get Together. That one that I used on the fire escapes in this build, I used it quite a few times, and literally it's a column that I probably use in every build, every single build. So yeah, there you go. That's the one pack that I recommend you download, is Get Together. If you haven't got that pack, I'd get along and download it, because it's a good pack. I quite like the Get to Work pack as well. Not everyone's favourite pack, but I quite like it. I like building police stations. I built a few. You can actually see them on my channel. They were good fun to build. Got the builds up on my YouTube channel for those. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of struggling right now what to build next. So if you have any recommendations, I'd love it if you could comment those below. As I try and build, it does say on my channel that I build release once a week. I'll be honest, I don't at the moment, because when I put that up, it was last year during furlough, and well, I'm not on furlough anymore, so I haven't been for like near enough a whole year now. In fact, literally a whole year. I came off furlough in October last year. And since I've come off furlough, I just haven't been able to keep up the building schedule. But that's not a problem, because I'll find the time to build. Probably more like once a month, maybe once every 2 weeks. Depends what mood I'm in, depends how big the build is. Sometimes a build might take me a week because I can't work on it hours straight in a week. I have to kind of split my time over that week. But anyway, that's it for the video. So thank you for watching, and I'll post some screenshots, so enjoy them below. Bye guys.